And good evening, everyone. Welcome to ESS Empire State Sports and the Wise Guy Sports Talk Show. Our host tonight, Joey Reel, and myself. Dave should be here momentarily, having technical difficulties. We'll get him in here when he gets here. And our guest for the evening is Justin Quenneville. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, Justin, I'll let everybody know Justin is my cousin, and that is not the reason why he's on the show. But it's a plus. No, Justin has had quite the career, spanning all the way through high school, college at St. Michael's, and through the lower levels of the professional leagues, and we're going to go through that. I got a bunch of questions on that, and up to coaching, and now on to his second team, now the Metro Jets, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But Justin, I guess we'll start this off with you walking us through your college days at St. Michael's, and then moving up. So let's start there, and we'll go from there. How's that?
Yeah, it's good. I think for me, growing up in Montreal, which, you know, hockey being the mecca, it's kind of like a second religion. Everyone just skates, plays hockey outdoors. It was always a dream of playing at the highest level, playing for the Canadians. I was fortunate, you know, my father was a very good hockey player and even better teacher. So he was one that really pushed me, and both my parents obviously wanting me to follow my father's footsteps, and the passion I had for the game followed suit, but academics were first. So growing up in Montreal, going to the US was not really an option at the time, but we could kind of see it in our generation where universities started migrating a little bit to the US and poaching players and offering some scholarships. So right at that beginning time in the late 90s, early 2000s is when we started entertaining, you know, looking at that as a route, and nothing against Canadian college hockey, but playing major junior hockey was just not going to be in the cards for me if I wanted to be able to play at the college level, because in Canada, no, playing major junior hockey is going to limit your academic opportunities. Things have changed now. You know, obviously this was a long time ago, but I was fortunate to get a scholarship to go play NCAA hockey in Vermont, and went there as a true freshman, which I was very green, didn't know what to expect, thought I was ready. It came off a, you know, fortunate season playing prep school hockey on the border of Vermont and Quebec at Stansted College, and didn't really have a lot of offers as a 17, 18-year-old. So I just jumped on it, and it was great. I mean, it was an unbelievable experience. Obviously was fortunate to play really well and stay healthy, and jumped into a quick pro career right in that lockout year, which seemed like an unlucky time to turn pro, but wanted to try to take advantage of some of those offers, and was fortunate enough to land my feet, you know, with the team, and kind of the rest was history. After that, played for 7 years. So
After the 7 years, though, I'm trying to print. All right, so you went through a couple of teams, bounced around for a while. You know, Richmond River Dogs and the UHL, Missouri River Otters, and these are great names, by the way. I don't know who makes these names, but they're really good names.
yeah.
Then you went to the ECHL, Bakersfield, and Phoenix, and then you went to the CHL, Corpus Christi Ice Rays. And actually, you stayed with them, and they changed affiliation to the CFL into the what is known now as the NAHL.
Yeah, correct.
And you went from player to assistant to coach. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's correct. It was kind of a unique opportunity at the time where I wasn't thinking about retiring. I was fortunate to still be playing at a high level, and you know, life seemed to be good at that time. You know, making money, playing hockey, living down south, and kind of seeing where that was going to take you. And then all of a sudden, there was an abrupt end to the CHL league itself. You could see where the hockey at the professional level was starting to find some lineage where there's true AAA, AA, and A affiliation with the NHL teams. So when I was in my late 20s, I was, like I said, fortunate enough to play and get paid for it, but I always wanted to transition into coaching. I just didn't think it'd be that soon. So when I got offered a position in Corpus, which I already had bought a home and was living there, and obviously enjoying the surroundings, I was a little taken back, but I did my homework, called some buddies that were coaching in the NAHL, the North American Hockey League, which is the Tier 2 Junior A league in the U.S. And it's a, very a very, very proud league, and has a lot of history, and a lot of pro players have come from there. And obviously their goal is to move players on to college. I couldn't turn it down. It was an opportunity at a level that I probably didn't deserve to start coaching at, but it made me work hard, and it got to me where, give me an opportunity to head coach the following year and take advantage of that and kind of go from there.
Now, you said that was a tier 2. Now, you moved up, you resigned from there, and then you took, literally within 6 months or so, you took a position with the Metro Jets, which is a tier 3.
Correct, yeah.
Now, that's correct.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So can you tell me, can you explain the difference between the tier 2 and the tier 3 and how that works? I know you and I have had discussion on this as far as financials, because some the independent league and such. So I'll let you take it from there and explain a little more.
Yeah, no problem. I'll try to keep it simple. Basically, the U.S. has one tier 1 league, which is the United States Hockey League. I believe there's 20 teams in that league, if not just under. But after that, there's no other league to compete with it. In Canada, there's 3 leagues. There's the Quebec Major Junior League, the Ontario Hockey League, and the Western Hockey League, which is tier 1 hockey. So in the US, their model's a little different, with the United States Hockey League being tier 1, the only league. There's no competition. So tier 2 is the next highest league for aspiring players to play in at the highest level of junior eligibility. And so the North American Hockey League is one league, and the NCDC is another league, which is primarily more out east, which is a league that we're currently affiliated with. Tier 3 hockey makes up basically all the rest of the junior leagues that are out there. Now, there's some that are good, some that aren't, some that do really well promoting players. Others are more just in it for the business model of it. But the tier 1 and tier 2 levels are non-pay-to-play hockey, is how they regard it as, where tuition for the players is free. Their focus is more so just on helping players either get drafted to the NHL or move up the ranks, committed to colleges at the Division I level in particular. After the tier 2 level, tier 3 is more of a development level. So that's where the Metro Jets, our team, our league, the United States Premier Hockey League, which is the biggest junior league in the country by membership. I think there's over 60 junior teams in our league. So it encompasses all over from out east to down south to out west. It's pretty remarkable. So our team, the Metro Jets, is one of those 60 members, and we consider ourselves one of the premier programs. But when I left Corpus Christi at the time, I left for a girl. I left for my wife. I mean, she had a great job up here in Detroit, and I never considered Texas to be my forever home. So I kind of walked away from a really good opportunity that I was coaching at, and I didn't think I'd get back into it. But when I moved up to Detroit, we sold our home in Texas, and we were remodeling a home in here in Detroit. I had some buddies in hockey up here that just told me, you need to get back into it. So I started a little bit in the youth level, and then the Metro Jets, which have been around for now 32 years, are very, very proud organization, been around and very well known for advancing players. They're at that tier 3 level. So I was very familiar with it, because when I was coaching in Corpus Christi, I would actually pull players from the Metro Jets or from teams of that tier 3 level, because that's what their primary goal is to advance players, to develop and advance them. So they may not be just a little bit younger. They may just not be there yet. Some of those kids that just weren't able to get jobs at that North American League, Hockey League level, or the NCDC. So that's our job here, is to help develop and promote kids.
So
what's the?
Oops, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, what are the age levels that we're talking with here, Justin? What's the range of the age of hockey player that you're talking about here?
It's 16 to 20 years old. So this past season that we just had, the oldest eligibility that you can have playing junior hockey is a 1999 birth year. So this coming season, we're signing players that are 2000 birth years and younger, that are aspiring to ultimately get to college hockey, but get scholarships and commit to college hockey. So the sport of hockey is really unique in that sense, where it's unlike any other sport where, you know, football, basketball, baseball, you see kids go directly out of high school straight to college. I did that as a hockey player. I never actually played a game of junior hockey. I went right from high school to university. And I'll never forget my first experience walking into the gym, you know, in Vermont, and here are guys that are 3-4 years older than I am and 20-30 pounds heavier, and they look like men. And I'm 18 years old, they're 21, 22 years old as freshmen, sophomores. So hockey is unique in the sense where they want you to try to exhaust your capability or your physicality, your mental makeup to get the most out of your game so that you're ready to make that jump at the NCAA level or at the college level. So that's where hockey, the junior market is a really big business, but also a very big proponent to helping players get to that next level.
So where you're at now, the Metro Jets, that's a USHL?
USPHL, the United States Premier Hockey League. Yeah.
Okay, so, and that's the cream of the crop, basically, or
for Tier 3, correct. Yeah, it's the strongest Tier 3 model league in terms of advancing players, promoting them to college. Our team, the Metro Jets themselves, I've been a part of the team for going on 8 years now since I've been up here in Detroit. We're very fortunate with our model, with what we do, which is, like I said, develop and advance players. But this team itself, being around for so long and having such a rich history in junior hockey, has been at all types of different levels and leagues. They were in the Central States Hockey League, then they went defunct. They were at Junior B, then it all became Junior A. Then they instilled Tier 3, Tier 2, Tier 1. There's all these different levels of junior hockey. And when I got on board with the team, we were actually in an affiliate league of the North American Hockey League, which is where I was in Corpus. We were the feeder league for the teams that were at the NAHL. And we just weren't happy with a lot of factors, and I won't go into that. But basically, we felt like there was more advantages for our program and our division, which was the strongest and the most formidable at promoting players. So we relocated to a bigger brand, a stronger brand, which was the USPHL, and we've been there now for 2 years, going on our 3rd year, and it's been great.
So, okay, so kids that get into your program, what is their goal moving forward from your team then?
They want to use us, plain and simple. Basically, kids don't. Yeah, they don't. No players really aspire to play for our team or our level in particular when they're growing up. They all want to play for the Detroit Red Wings if they're here from Detroit. Once that dream starts to fizzle a little bit, or maybe the reality of how to get there starts setting in, wow, I've got a lot of steps to go, then, you know, leagues start kicking in where, okay, maybe I should get into this league, or if I can't get into that league, maybe I should get into this league. And if I can't get to there, well, maybe I should start here where I can go and develop. So there's a lot of options for kids, especially in the US, to educate themselves on what the best step is for them to advance. And basically where we step in is we're that happy medium where we're looking for players that are 16, 17, 18. And then this year we actually had a lot of 20-year-olds that just were not getting college offers or getting looks from colleges. And our team is very, very fortunate that we have a lot of different, you know, angles that we promote players, whether it's moving them up during the season to a higher league, or it's staying with our team and housing them to try to expose them to colleges. So technically kids are always going to want to try to get a commitment. And that's what I learned being Canadian growing up, is we all want to play in the NHL. Americans, they all want to play college hockey. And that doesn't mean that they don't aspire to play at the NHL or the pro level. It's just a different goal growing up, as they want to play and say they got committed, or they committed to a school or got a full scholarship. So it's kind of a cool take on how players approach everything here versus in some other countries.
So go ahead, Joe.
So when it comes to the team aspects of things, is there a touch of selfishness from the players?
Oh, yeah.
Do they buy into team concepts, or can they sometimes, hey, I'm here, I'm getting my own because I'm thinking of myself here? How does that balance work?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's a unique level where we're at, because we understand the families, the players, the advisors that are representing the players. they're using us, right? I mean, so we promote that. We actually promote that we're a selfish program where we're dealing with a makeup of an athlete that's coming here to use us to try to get stronger, to get better, to get exposure, and then in a perfect world, they get to move up in season if they're ready or fast enough. If not, it's at the end of the year. If not, after 2 years. But once they're here, they realize they're going to learn all those variables. They're going to, obviously play a good team game, but we really do focus more on the individual development of each player because they're all unique in the sense of where they can end up. So that's where we've found our success. That's where our niche has really been a big thing in development, where, we don't just say it or sell it. We actually do it, and our numbers don't lie. So we've been fortunate in that sense. And it's been a lot of fun because we've got, for example, a 20-year-old that's looking to strictly go to college because that's his only end game, right? He can't move up. He wants to go to college. So he's looking at commitments. We've got a 17 or an 18-year-old that wants to move up the higher junior rank so that maybe he can get to a higher college level. Because primarily most of the kids that will commit to college from our level will be at the NCAA D3 level or the ACHA level and maybe the best scholarship they could find out there. Whereas at the NAHL, the NCDC, and the USHL, like the tier 2 and the tier 1 levels, they're more successful at moving kids to the Division 1 level, which is what every kid wants to play at.
So what's your percentage of kids just dropping off after your experience saying, well, I guess I can't go any further? So what's your experience with the percentage there?
Our program is fortunate in the sense where there's so many universities out there outside of just NCAA hockey, because there's over 100 plus teams between the NCAA Division 1 and the NCAA Division 3. So there's only few roster spots available every year, but we're all competing for those spots. We're fortunate that we're always going to have NCAA commitments from our program, but we're also going to advance kids during the season. But then there's those few that maybe aren't getting those looks. So there's a whole other level within the college ranks known as the ACHA. And that's a very competitive level in its sense too. They have their own Division 1 and Division 3 levels. It used to be known more like club hockey, but they actually offer scholarships. They actually can help, I don't want to say offset academic aid for players, but they can come and recruit players out of our program. So we've had players that have had NCAA interest from our program and opted to go the ACHA route, which may not be as competitive, but got a lot more scholarship money. And for families, that means a lot. So, it's a unique situation to be in with our program where we're just fielding offers. And in the whole meantime, we're just trying to develop the kids and let them know what those offers are.
Now, do you get any players, Justin, at this level that you're involved in, where the kid has already got his college offer, but they want that year or two of experience, or is that a different tier that those kids would be getting sent to?
I would say it's a little bit of both. Our level, most of the kids don't have any college offers, and hence why they use our platform to try to get in front of those schools. And it doesn't mean they're not good enough. A lot of them just didn't come from programs or from, geographic locations that gave them that opportunity. I mean, we have some high school players on our team that were prolific with their program, but just never really were given, the respect because they didn't have the competition to gauge them against. And then they come and play for us, and that's all they needed was that step to move up. And so they move up to the next level. And then there's kids that play travel hockey too, that same thing, maybe just didn't get that exposure and need another year of development, and they come to us for that. But ultimately, we look at it like we're the best backup plan for kids who are aspiring to play at that tier 2 or tier 1 level. And there's so few jobs for kids at those levels because there's just not a lot of leagues or a lot of teams. Our level becomes very prevalent and very opportunistic for programs to help, find players that need that or just didn't get that. So the recruiting war is difficult because you're trying to find the kids that are going to take you serious because of your level and what you do, and know that maybe they need to use or exhaust a year of their eligibility to try to expose themselves or develop. But you also want to find the kids that need a spot where they are good enough, they just didn't get that exposure. So it's tough, but typically our level, most kids aren't talking any colleges yet.
All right. So okay, let's slow this down a little bit because So how are kids introduced to you? Are they vetted? Are they scouted? Are they through high school? I you get international players. I guess that's a whole bundle there. I guess we'll discuss.
Yeah. A little bit of everything. We have kids that will just go right to our website and fill out a recruiting form, and look at us as a great stepping stone. And we'll do our homework, and we have scouts in different parts of the country, and we have a large staff that we can look through the process of the kids that just reach out to us. But the hockey world's small. We're going to do everything we can to use the technology and the games that are streamed online to recruit players. But we also try not to look outside the box too much. Being a Metro Detroit program where hockey's obviously very big here, we want to be able to try to provide locally as many opportunities for kids that maybe didn't get that chance to play at that level, or get scholarships to play college hockey. So we don't really look outside the box too much, but we will get recommendations from buddies that I've played with or coached against. They're going to send me a kid here or there because they know that we'll do our best to help them out. So I would say last year was probably the most decorated team we've ever had, where we had outside Michigan kids. We had, I think, 12 players that were billeting with us, which were living with families here. Whereas in the past, most of our team was local players. And
Welcome
we do
aboard.
tryouts too.
Welcome.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, welcome aboard, David.
Hey, Dave.
Hey. Sorry, I'm late.
That's all right. It happens. Technical difficulties. Okay, so what's the next question I want to ask? So over the past 15 years, you've been, getting into this. Have you seen the youth hockey organizations or players getting better now than they were 15 years ago? Because it seems like there's a lot more opportunities out there than there was 15, 20 years ago. So are you seeing what's the word I'm looking for? I guess the talent level is going up a little bit.
Yeah. I could kind of break it down into two parts. Like, our sport has changed a lot over the last 10 years. It's very cyclical, but it's definitely the rules have changed the outcome of a lot of players' potential, because with the game opening up now with speed and skill, less clutching and grabbing, the penalties now, where you used to just be able to just hook a kid down the ice and ride him the whole way, is gone. I mean, everything's built into the game now to just adhere by the speed and the skill of the players. So you're seeing kids that are 5'6", 5'7", 5'8" getting recruited, because my days, if you're under 6 foot, you didn't even get a sniff. You could have been the leading scorer and been skating circles around kids. You just wouldn't have gotten a sniff. They saw the 6'2" guy over there that can run a guy through the boards. He was going to get a shot. So now the game's shifted where, coaching has become more of a development model for players to see what they can do, but let them do their thing. Basically, let them be the skilled player. We'll just tweak a few things here and there to give them a little bit more hockey IQ and help them adapt to the game and the speed and make decisions and have better habits. But ultimately, the game is opened up to a point now where any kid can make it at any level if he really buys in and really commits to it. What I've noticed where the shift has come with hockey players, and this might be with all sports, is just the sheer urgency to want to get better, right? You see a lot of kids that just have the sense of entitlement, and I'm sure everyone talks about it in other sports where a lot of parents are very involved. The game's become so analytical now that I think there's too much emphasis on the numbers, where we're ignoring the things that are in front of us. But the sport itself has really grown a lot, especially since I got out of the game. I could tell you, no kids want to hear my stories about what made me successful when I played pro or college. They just want to know what they can do and how to get there. So if we can find the happy medium between the kid who is mature for his age, has a physical ability, but is willing to commit and do more than the other kids, most of the time they're the ones that succeed. Because our sport, I feel like, is one of the few sports that you actually see kids undrafted, unknown, and really get a chance to make it. And you'll see more players play at the NHL and the pro level that are actually never been vetted and never been drafted because they just worked their way up and did whatever it took. And I feel like other sports, you see too many guys that have been committed too early.
Okay.
So the sorry, Pete, if I'm jumping in
No,
on
that's
you,
okay.
but so you know, kid comes to you, kid comes to your organization, your program. Have you got that North Carolina Michael Jordan person picture frame that, hey, this guy came through here? Have you got that guy? Have you got, hey, this guy came through here? Is there some...
Yeah, we totally cherry pick some kids on our program, and prior to me as well. I mean, we've had coaches like John Cooper, who coached our team in 2000, 2001, the last national championship before we won one a few years ago. He coaches the Tampa Bay Lightning now, so he's a pretty cool, poster boy for a guy coming out of our program. But we've had several players like Steve Alexi, who's actually a local product here. He won a Stanley Cup with the Penguins a few years ago. He's playing over in Europe now, but we try to stick to what kids understand, which is what happened just yesterday. And what we see a lot of times is kids don't want to do their homework. So we try to use what's relevant. And right now we've had a couple players that played for our program that not only have committed to colleges at a high level, but have moved up the ranks as well. And I would say Louis Boudon was a French kid that we had recruited from France, came here, was thin, 110 pounds, didn't look like he would, cut it the North American League game. And within a month, developed, was one of the best players in the league, MVP of the league. The following year, one of the best players in the next league, committed full scholarship to a Division I university, and now getting invitations to NHL training camps. So that's all within the last 5 years, and that's under our model. So that's basically the kid when people walk in, we see, and they can understand it because it's kind of still new.
So
going back to one of the things you said about players, smaller players. I'm sure there's thousands of examples, but one that really sticks out in my mind. I was a season ticket holder to the Cincinnati Cyclones of the ECHL. And a few years ago, they had a 5'7" kid named David Deharnier, who, as we know, played for the Montreal Canadiens and had a little short stint with the Rangers. But yeah, he was the league's leading scorer, and like you said, at 5'7", a few years before that, he probably would not have really been looked at.
No, it's cool to see stories like that, because I look at players like Martin St. Louis, who I think really was the I don't want to say the grandfather of it, but basically the one that broke the barrier in my mind, right? He was, shunned aside even when he was given chances and was tearing it up in the minors. They still weren't giving him a shot, and eventually someone believed in him, and he ran with it, and I think the rest was history. But when the rules changed, when you started to see the game open up, that's when you started to see the speed and skill of players, and size became, secondary in a lot of things.
Almost a detriment to some players.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of, call them dinosaurs. There's still a lot of dinosaurs in the game, and you can't say they're wrong, because there's still a lot of success with the players. But if you look at the size and speed of skill, big players too now in the pro level, it's incredible. I mean, it's just, they have every resource available to them to get to that point. So you're starting to see big guys do what little guys do, and little guys do what big guys do, and the games become like a video game almost. It's a lot of fun, because it's so competitive, in the sense that every year players are trying to reinvent themselves in the off season to just get an edge to get there. And when you go to a game now, I mean, I feel like it's the one sport that just does not do it justice unless you see it live, and just how fast it is. And I can't even believe it at our level. We got kids that could shoot a puck like an NHLer, and I'm going, you'll never see that level probably, but I mean, it's amazing with the technology, the sticks and the things that they know and what they're willing to do off the ice. It's incredible to see where they're at now.
Yeah. One thing I was going to bring up was many moons ago, we were always trying to catch up or play like the Europeans did, the fast-paced hockey, and And I think we're at that level now.
Yeah.
I go down and watch the Adirondack Thunder here down in Glens Falls.
Oh yeah.
So fast-paced game, and I really don't see maybe I'm wrong. I don't see the big tough games anymore where everybody's really boarding people like crazy. It's more of a pass and kind of game. Have you seen that through the years too, that it's that
Yeah.
big change?
Yeah, you're starting to see the big ogre players get washed out a little bit, but I would say, you know, there's got to be compromise, right? I mean, you've got to still have fighting. You still got to have, you know, self-governing in the sport and physicality. It's the speed of the game is so fast now. It's incredible. It's just almost hard to be able to be that physical. And because of the rules and limitations to clutching and grabbing, you can't even slow them down now. So I think the physicality has changed a little bit. Doesn't mean it's less physical on the ice, but to the eye in the stands or to people watching, I know there's a lot of people that don't like this game because they miss the rough and tough days of the, you know, the drop your gloves at any point in time and finish your hit high and guys down on the ground. But with concussions and with injuries and with like I said, how fast players are just moving on the ice now, it's almost impossible to go back. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but like my generation, I mean, we were right in between. You know, it was a tough game. I mean, you had to be able to skate and, you know, have the skill, but you had to be able to answer the bell. And I by no means was that guy, but there were guys on the bench that would do that for me. And I knew at any point it could happen, and it did. I would definitely, you know, be forced into a fight here and there. Nowadays, I feel like kids don't know what that's like. And if that gets to the NHL level, a pro level, that could be a detriment to the game, especially with ratings and whatnot. But I don't think it will, because the sport in itself is still self-governing, and I think it's always going to happen until the rules change. I could still see where people still love the scoring. As long as we don't lose that, we'll be fine.
Now,
So-
I will say one thing. I have seen some Justin Quenneville fights online.
It's
Videos.
been quick.
Sorry, David, go ahead.
So is there still a place for what I guess would be called an enforcer on the team? I mean,
Not really.
no, okay.
No, not a strict enforcer. If you ask,
Like you said,
there's been polls in pro hockey where they've asked players that are in the game, do you want to see fighting go away? And it's like 98% of players say no, because they know if fighting goes away, then everybody becomes the tough guy on the ice. Then there's liberties, you know, galore. It's just the game will open up into another level, which I think would actually result in more injuries, because now you got little rats out there running around with their sticks high, knowing that no one's going to come after them. So I think that the self-governing aspect of the sport is still important, as long as, of course, you don't want anyone to get hurt, but, you know, you willingly play the sport, and any sport where there's always the chance of getting hurt. So I don't think that will go away, but you're seeing a more versatile player now get to the higher levels where they not only can skate and score, but they can fight too. All right. So It's kind of one of those things, you take that in the off season. And I actually did that even back in the day when I was still playing in the off season. We made sure we mixed in some type of regimen where there was, you know, some balancing movements and, you know, grappling stuff that we did just to kind of get, you know, on our toes. But, you know, I'll never forget asking my dad, teach me how to fight, because my dad was a tough guy when he played, and he's a big guy and whatnot, and I'm not. And he says, I could just teach you how to defend yourself. But that's basically where I was at that point.
That's interesting.
That's something more you have to learn on your own, I would assume. So, and your dad is taller than you, a few inches taller than you, and so yeah.
Yeah, he's got a long reach too, which helps. So.
So for any kids listening right now, I guess, that have a couple years left in school, what would be your advice to them? What they should be really working on in their last 2 years of high school in order to move up?
Well, when they're in class, they should be focusing on that. I think one thing that's lost with a lot of athletes, but in particular hockey players, is they think that hockey can help get them to where they want to. When last I checked, the schools that we deal with and the schools that are recruiting hockey players are still recruiting student athletes first. So grades are the most important thing. And I think if kids stay focused on, enhancing their grades, and even if they didn't have a great 1 or 2 first years of high school, even their junior year, if it's not so great, if they could show progress and really hunker down to show that lineage of better grades and wanting to commit to doing better in class, that's going to help open up more doors. We see it firsthand, even when they commit themselves off, or I don't say off campus, but basically away from the classroom. If they really commit themselves to getting better as a hockey player, it doesn't matter if they don't have the grades to get in that school. So that's the most important part. We're always looking for kids with obviously competitive GPAs and SAT and ACT scores, but hockey is separate. You got to kind of want it. You can't really teach it. I think it's one of those things that the kids that say they put in the work probably do, just not as much as the guy that just does it. So we're looking for players, and players that should want to play at the junior level need to have a little extra something in them to want to get to this level and have success, not just play it. Because we look at hockey players not in the sense that they're playing the game, but they're actually going to become hockey players. And I think that's something that's hard to find at first.
Justin, so when you mentioned that age gap of 16 to 20-year-olds, are you getting 16-year-olds? And if so, are they going to school? I'm assuming they're going to school.
Yeah. A lot of them are doing online school now. It's actually shown for the student athletes in particular. It drives a little bit more success in their grade point average, just because they're more focused. There's less distractions. There's less social distractions for them. So they're kind of like sports study students now. They're skating and training and doing workouts and video and everything they need to do with us. Then they're in school the rest of the day, where they can build a better schedule for themselves to focus on that. But a lot of schools are willing to work with our team or with junior teams, because they know we're trying to help promote them to the collegiate level. So we're not a deterrent to that. We're not going to be a stepping block. We're actually going to help them. Like, we're going to do what we can.
Okay, and just kind of getting off the topic before I hand it back over to Pete and Dave. You mentioned John Cooper from the Tampa Bay Lightning a little bit before, and he's the head coach there. Well, his assistant coach one of his assistant coaches is Derek Lalone. I don't know if you know Derek or not, but Derek is a North Country boy. Went to St. Lawrence Central, which is 15-20 minutes from where Pete and Dave went to school. And cool. When you mentioned him, because he is a friend of mine, just kind of wanted to ask. I didn't know if you might know of him or know him. So
no, I do know the name. I don't know him personally. I could tell you that the coaching world is very volatile. Like, it's not, John Cooper's story wasn't the Metro Jets to Tampa Bay. I think he's been in different cities and coached 15 different teams and levels to get there. I mean, it's the first person out if things aren't going well. So it's cool to see guys like that commit to that and really get an opportunity. And obviously they're very skilled to get to that level.
Yeah, Derek went to SUNY Cortland, Division III school here in New York State. And then from there, he's coached at Ferris State, University of Denver, and then got into, I believe he was in Green Bay. He was in Des Moines, Iowa. So he's worked his way up and is now assistant coach at the Lightning. So
that's cool.
So
that's how small world it is, right?
That's right.
That's right.
We're all connected somehow. Yeah. Justin, tell us more about the MAT program, Michigan Athlete Training. So I know you have, it goes a lot on what you do now, but if you could just describe that, because you're one of the founders of it.
Yeah. So when I walked away from coaching in Texas at the NHL level, kind of committed coaching suicide, where I was fortunate to be at a level I probably wasn't deserving at the time. I was younger, but I enjoyed my time there. I was very fortunate. But when I met my wife, we wanted to move closer to home and start a family. So I just quit cold turkey, and I didn't know what to do. So I took like 6 months off, just try to, focus on the home. And like I said, we were working on our house here. and some things fell on my lap, but I had a lot of kids calling me for help, and ultimately that's what our level is at the junior level. If you're a coach, is you're really advising or doing what you can to develop when you are working with them on the ice, but if not, you're consulting and advising them. So I had a buddy of mine that I played against professionally that was here in Detroit, and he is actually a certified trainer, and we kind of, you know, butted heads on some ideas, but eventually came up with this: why don't we open a gym and a rink and specify more, you know, training towards hockey players? And he basically trains them, and I help advise and guide them and recruit some of the kids. But we basically built this business that's a 6,000 square foot gym inside one of the biggest rinks in the country. It's a 5-sheet facility, which is where our team plays out of too. And we have a whole section of the gym that's almost looks like a CrossFit gym, but specific to hockey players and athletes looking to, you know, develop their game in the off season and during the season as well. We do team training with our trainers. And then we have a whole other side of the gym that's got like a shooting gallery and a warm up area. And we got, you know, TVs and study rooms and video rooms and stuff. So it's a really cool setup and something that I would have loved to have when I was younger, but jealous of the kids when they come in now.
So is it's only specific to your team, or do you have other outside people that utilize it?
Oh yeah. No, we have a lot of people. Jamie Level, my business partner, he's the one that does and handles all of that. He basically, during the season, trains teams. We'll have the odd individual, you know, kid that wants to get some extra training in, but it's tough to balance all that with his own team and school. But then in the off season is where our business really ramps up. A lot of kids are trying to do more specific stuff for themselves to develop. And we got pros all the way down to, you know, teens that are looking to get an edge. So that's what we provide.
Now, I guess I'm going to get nosy here, but how does the finances work as far as? I guess it's under the same impression that what they do for minor league baseball is that they give them a specific stipend that they're able to, and they live with families, or is it totally something different?
For the junior team?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of rules, but basically we're not allowed to do anything financially towards the athlete because it'll violate their eligibility for college. So they're on their own, but when they come here, we take care of them. We do everything we can. So we're limited to how much equipment we can give them. So basically we provide them helmets, gloves, pants, outer equipment, you know, all the workout stuff. I mean, we dress it up as much as we can, but skates, according to NCAA eligibility rules and clearinghouse, is deemed as cheating, right? We're giving them money. So, cause skates are very expensive. So that's something we can't provide the players. They have to pay for themselves. But housing, we put them with families, because we can't technically put them in apartments because it'd be like us giving them money to go get their own apartment, and that'd violate their eligibility. So there's some rules that we have to play with, but they're pretty simple, and the kids all know that growing up here, at least in the US. So we don't have any issues with it.
Okay. I thought maybe it was the same aspect as what they have for the minor league baseball. Is basically they get a stipend and then they're put up in a house or a home, but they don't get the stipend at all. Right?
No. So in fact, even when we go out for a meal or if we're on a road trip, I mean, we're paying for the hotel and we're paying for the meals, but we can't technically give them the $10 to go grab some food. I mean, that'd be violating their eligibility. So we have just a team card one of our staff members have, and takes care of the meal.
See, I'm a little confused on the skate thing. I guess you can give them equipment, but once you come to the skates, I just don't understand that.
But it's one of those things too where a lot of teams don't fight that because it's so expensive, right? I mean, you start adding 20, 30 pairs of skates, it's 20, 30 grand almost, right? So the USHL, you know, has a couple more rules that they're allowed to get away with because they have to compete with the Canadian leagues that have, you know, almost no rules. I mean, there's a lot of leagues in Canada where guys are getting paid a little bit under the table to play for their teams. You know, I mean, there's rumors all the time, like OHL and Quebec Major Junior teams are giving stipends to player, and it's not a secret. Whereas in the US, it's pretty strict. Kids know what they're getting themselves into, and they're on their own basically.
So I don't know if the other guys have any more questions, but I got one more, and I guess it's, Would you rather be playing again, or you okay with the coaching
Playing.
aspect?
Playing.
You want to think about that?
No, take your time.
I'll never. No, I'll never forget. The best advice I ever got was from a mentor of mine, Jim Montgomery. My rookie year, I played with. Jim Montgomery was the coach of the Dallas Stars actually this year, but he told me play as long as you can. I was 23 and he was 36, obviously at the bottom end of his career, playing out, just taking the money. But he was a very wise guy, and I learned a lot. But he said play as long as you can, and I didn't. I got out early to get into coaching, which was my next step, and I love it, and I still do. But I enjoy more the operational side now, so I can spend more time with my family. But playing, there's nothing like it. I think it's like that with any sport.
Yeah, so you miss it quite a bit, I guess. Now, do you got?
Yeah, but this is the closest thing. So
Yeah, you do any pickup games or anything like that? I know you probably.
I can't.
You can't.
I can't. I'm too frustrated. I'm so bad now that it's just, yeah.
It's because you
It's
taught him
frustrating.
so well, Justin.
Yeah. Watching a kid skate by you is not a good feeling when you used to.
Just put them in the boards. That's all.
Yeah, right. Can't do that anymore. Can't
No.
grab him anymore.
Hook him and drag him down.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's going to be it for tonight, Justin. I really appreciate you coming on. I really do. I'm sure the other guys do. I learned a lot tonight.
I did too, Justin. This is awesome. I'd say the three of us we're a core basketball guys. So to be able to sit here and to learn some stuff. I mean, I didn't know a lot of this stuff. Really informational, and really appreciate you coming on tonight, Justin.
I have a deep appreciation for hockey too, though. I mean, I enjoy watching hockey.
Oh, yeah.
I played when I was a little kid, but as Joey said, hockey players and basketball players, as little kids, you got to decide at one point whether you one or the other. But I still love hockey. I mean, like I said, I was a season ticket holder for an ECHL team for a few years when we lived there, and I'll watch a hockey game any day.
And you mentioned Martin St. Louis, Justin.
Yeah.
I was a Clarkson season ticket holder when he was at the University of Vermont, so I got to watch him play in 1 year ECACs. They made it to the Final Four of ECACs in Lake Placid. So I followed Martin St. Louis as his career progressed. So
That's cool. Oh, he opened up a channel for college hockey too, because a lot of kids weren't doing that at the time, and now everyone wants to do it. So
yep.
pretty cool. Thanks,
Justin,
guys.
you want to give a little shout out to anybody that might be watching later on, or?
Well, I give a shout out to my dad, but he doesn't have anything on the internet or even know how to open up Google, let alone. So I'll give a shout out to my mom from there and everyone back home. Yeah. So we'll say hi to my mom, Michelle. I know she's probably going to check it out. And everyone back home in Canada. Miss everyone and hope everyone's safe.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot, Justin. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Justin.
thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
No problem. Well, for my co-host, Joey Reom, Dave Bartlett, and our excellent client here, I guess. I don't know how to take this, but yeah. So anyway, our interviewee, Justin Quenneville. This is Pete Goslaw saying goodnight, everybody, on ESS, Empire State Sports, and the Wise Guy Sports Talk Show. Stay safe, everybody.